Hey you guys. Okay, so I've had a really good topic come up recently on my Facebook. Christine is her name, asked a question, and she's also doing a blog about it, so I'm going to post the link to that below. But it was basically, I've been in the craft for a long time. I know what I believe, I know what I do, but it's very difficult for me to explain it to other people. So, can you tell me what you do to explain it? So, I wrote back and told her exactly what I did, and I was like, wow, this is actually a really good video topic, because I have had issues with this, and I know that other people have had issues with it. So, I think that this is a great time to talk about it. Now, I don't know if this is something that was actually personal to her, or if she was just getting information from people to help with her blog about it, but regardless, I thought this was a very good idea. Okay, so this is pretty much just going to be, I am not the Wiccan know-all, so, if you have anything else to add, or something else that you do that works well, please post in the comments, and, if something seems like it's going to work for you and something else doesn't, obviously don't do everything I say verbatim. This is just stuff that has worked for me in the past, and so I figured I'd bring it up. If it works for you, cool. If it doesn't, fine, that's cool. Okay, so one of the biggest reasons that we have such a hard time explaining ourselves, and by ourselves I mean, the collaboration of witches, Wiccans, and pagans, because obviously they're all different, but we have those taboo words that people have a really hard time getting past. Spells, magic, rituals, witches, those kind of words, when people hear them and they don't know what they mean, or they don't know, okay, so, for example, let's say you have never heard of what a Wiccan is before, and the only thing that you know is what you've seen on TV. The green hag with the nose and the warts, and flying around on broomsticks, and having sex with the devil, and all of that super ridiculous stuff. So, let's say that that's all you know, and you meet someone, and you are obviously very bold, and you ask them what they believe in, and they say, oh, well, I'm a witch, and I cast spells, and I do magic, and, I perform all these rituals, and blah, 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 blah. Well, that's true, for us, but to say that to somebody that has no idea what you're talking about, they're going to automatically think that you're crazy. They're going to be like, wow, that person is off their rocker. Okay, fine, whatever. Yep, okay, nice to meet you, see you later. We don't want that. Wicca, we're just slowly, getting to a place where people can start to respect us, but we're not there yet. And the more people that we can get to understand what we are about and what we actually do, as opposed to, sleeping with the devil and casting these ridiculous spells that include different parts of animals and all of that nonsense, the sooner that we can get people to understand exactly what it is that we're about and what a witch or Wiccan actually does, the faster that we're going to get some respect in the community. So even if you don't give a shit what people think about you, and you're totally fine with just putting it all out there, try to have a little bit of decency, just for, if it's not for yourself, then for your pagan community. So first off, okay, so the taboo words. Those are something that you're probably, even though they don't mean anything bad to us, we have high amounts of respect for them. Other people don't understand what they mean. So if you're trying to explain something to somebody, you're going to want to, at least the first couple explanations, or the first little bits that you're talking about, you're not going to want to bring up spells, magic, witchcraft, stuff like that, unless it's somebody that you are very close with, that you can easily explain what those mean. Because if you're just, a lot of times you're probably going to be talking to a family member, or a close friend, or maybe a future spouse, or a new boyfriend, or a new girlfriend, or, you know, somebody that you're going to be spending a lot of time with. But, you know, if that's even more reason to try to ease them into what exactly it is you're talking about. So, starting out, let's say somebody comes up and says, what do you believe in? They don't know you're pagan, they don't know you're Wiccan, they don't know anything like that. You can say Wiccan if you want to. If you're not comfortable, you know, not that Wiccan is a bad word, but if you're not exactly comfortable using the word Wiccan, you can also substitute it for pagan, because while all pagans are not Wiccans, Wiccans are all pagans. So you can start out and just say, you know, actually I'm pagan. That means that, you know, I worship both a god and a goddess. I view all nature as sacred. So, you know, if you want to add in there and say, you know, I view the phases of the moon, and, you know, I have high respect for blah, blah, blah. And there was, I just went off track with that. I believe in a god and goddess. You know, I respect nature. Oh, and I also work with the universal energies. Bam. That's it in a very small, teeny tiny little nutshell, but it kind of covers everything. So from there, you know, if people want to continue to ask questions, then they should probably have questions waiting for you after that you can go ahead and answer. But sometimes, you know, that's it, and people are good with it, and they're like, oh, okay, well, that's cool. Now, as you progress in your conversation, if you want to bring up the fact that, you know, actually, you know, I personally am Wiccan, you know, and explain what Wiccan means to you, which you pretty much explained it in that little tidbit that you did there. You can also bring up other things. So, like, if they continue to push, you know, well, what else do you believe? Or what else do you view? Or if you want to bring up the Wheel of the Year, you can. Now, the Wheel of the Year, you got to be careful. You can't, you have to watch being offensive to people, because that's not what we're after. We're not trying to push people away and to be scary and mean. We're really trying to get respect from people for our religion, because we are worth it. Our pagan community is worth the respect of other communities. So, you know, don't start out and say, well, actually, I view the Wheel of the Year, which is 8 pre-Christian dated holidays that are way older than your religion, so sorry. You know, why the hell would you do that? I've heard someone say something similar to that before, that I was with, and I was like, why would you do that? That's just pissing people off. Yes, there are people that come after us. We do not have to continue down that same path, though. So instead of being rude about and lash out at people, or don't try hard not to get defensive, because it's very, very easy. I'm somebody that gets very defensive very fast, and you don't want to do that when you're trying to explain, hi Kitty, when you're trying to explain your path. If people are going to be rude about it, then just laugh it off, or end the conversation, or whatever, but you really want to try to be the bigger person here. So anyway, Wheel of the Year. If you want to try to explain that to someone, if they're asking, be like, well, you know, we view 8 major holidays. You know, we view the 4 changes of the season, so the winter and summer solstice, and the fall or autumnal and spring equinox. And then there's 4 other holidays that appear intermittently in between. And, you know, those holidays go along with not only the changes of the seasons, but the changes and progressions of the god and goddess that I view. There you go. Now, there's also, if you want to get into spell work, there's a very, very easy way to do that, because every single person that has asked me, you know, well, what do you believe in, blah, 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 once they find out I'm Wiccan, it kind of sparks something, because most people have heard what a Wiccan is, and they're automatically think, oh, well, you do spells? I had my fiance's best friend and wife come up. Super nice people. I love them to death. But she had never seen my witchy room before. So, sorry, I'm checking the time. I have to work today, so I want to make sure I'm not going to be late. So, she had seen my witchy room, and so she was asking, and she said, okay, well, what do you believe? So I started out with what I had said to you guys. I said, yep, well, this is what I believe in the universal energies. And she's like, well, do you do spells? Or is it kind of like Charmed? Like, can you levitate things? And a lot of people are going to ask you that. Well, is it like The Craft? Or is it like Charmed? Or is it, they will relate it to TV shows. And I was like, well, Charmed has it right in a couple different things, but Charmed is a lot of effects. You know, I don't get the big poofs from spells. I can't levitate things. I can't freeze stuff with time. I can't freeze time. You know, all that stuff is just in the TV show. But I do spells, and I do work with magic, and when you start to bring up stuff like that, it sometimes is very, very easy to explain it to somebody if you relate it to Christianity. If you relate it to a prayer, say, well, actually, a spell is very similar to a prayer. It's just an active prayer. That's how I explain it to people. It's an active prayer. So, because people will be like, well, what are the wands and the knives that you use and this and that, and you have candles and stuff all over? And it's like, well, if you walk into a church, what do you find? There's candles and there's incense, and it just gets you in a spiritual frame of mind. There are crosses, and they've got their book, and, you know, I have a Book of Shadows as well. The Book of Shadows is my Bible. You know, my tools are kind of like their cross, where it's just something to help you focus while you do your spell, or prayer. Well, yeah, for me it'd be spell, for them it would be prayer. And then I use, you know, I talk to the God and Goddess, and I use universal energies to help manifest what it is that I'm doing. So basically, you know, if I cast my circle, which is basically my church, it's my safe haven for when I do my spell. You know, it's just a circle of energy to keep all the negativity out. You know, I have my little church, and I have my Bible, and, you know, I light my green candle, and I get a couple of green crystals or aventurines, and I say something that, you know, helps me to focus on my money spell that I'm doing. And, you know, once I'm done and I raise up that energy, I send it out to the universe so that it can manifest. You know, and if you explain it in a very simplistic way like that, and relate it to something to what they're going to understand, it makes it a lot easier for them to get it. And it doesn't make you seem like you're a freak. So, that's basically it. Because, I mean, if you're friends or family with somebody that's asking, you can pretty much go into however much detail you want, or they'll ask you questions and you can answer how you want. But those are at least the big things that a lot of people have issues with, is the magic, the spells, and the initial, well, what are you? What do you believe? Just give it to them very simple, very straightforward, you know, very broad. And if they want to ask you more questions after that, fine. You can slowly narrow it down. But if that's it, and they're like, oh, okay, well, cool, whatever, then you can just go on from there. So I hope that this has helped you guys at least a little bit. I know that there are so many other things that I can touch on, but it's already a 14-minute video, so this is just the basics. So if you guys have any questions, please feel free to let me know. And, you know, if you have anything to add, I'm sure people would absolutely appreciate it if you left a comment. And I love you guys, and I'll see you later. Bless be.